So now it's time to work on the engine. I've had it steam cleaned and it's looking a lot better than it was. I've taken the manifolds off, found out that the exhaust manifold is US. It's got a crack and the actual part of it actually broke away when it came off. Inlet manifold's okay, and everything seems to be pretty reasonable, but first job I'm going to do is take the head off. I've taken the rocker box and the valve gear off, as you can see. Important that when you take the tappets out, you make sure you keep them in the same order when they go back. Sorry, I meant push rods. But, having a quick look at the top of the valves before I take the head off, things aren't looking too good. It looks like it's a pretty well worn engine. You can see there's lots of markings on the top of the valves, and I have to say that I've never seen anything quite as bad as this. Others might say, well, that's normal, but to me it's pretty horrific. So now I'm going to take the cylinder head off and see what we've got inside. Well, that's got everything stripped out and inspected. There's quite a lot of wear on the first side of the bores, so I think that it'll have to be a straight rebore. Hopefully it'll be to the smallest size. The crankshaft is remarkably good condition. There are no scores on any of the journals, and looking at the bearings, some of them were just about going through to the copper, but again there was no scores or marks on the bearing surfaces, so hopefully I will get away with just a polish on the crank and it'll be able to go back into the engine as standard. Obviously a rebore is going to get me some new pistons, so I'll whip those off and clean the rods up, but hopefully that will they'll be okay. I don't think I'll need to do anything with the little ends. There doesn't seem to be any play there. With regards to the cylinder head, the exhaust valves seem to have recessed quite badly, so what I'm going to do is to just pack all that off to the machine shop, let them sort it out. So I stripped the engine down and sent it off to the machine shop, and today everything came back, so the block has now been bored plus 20. I've got a really nice new set of mural slipper pistons to go in. The crankshaft has just been polished, so that's remained standard size. There's no wear on there. It's very fortunate. Obviously I've got the bearings. I'm putting a different cam in, and I've got a new oil pump that's going in, new tappets, a new tying chain, and both the pulleys I'm changing because they were worn. I'm also changing the valve springs, and with regards to the cylinder head, I've had inserts put into the exhaust valve seats, so that's now a fully unleaded head, and I've had the guides and valves. So all in all, it should be a really good job when it's all refitted back together. I'm going to be running the engine on 2050, the multi-grade that it's supposed to run on, so I will be using copious amounts of that during the rebuild. The first thing I'm going to start with, I'm going to put the cam followers in and the camshaft. That's the new oil pump fitted in place. I've primed it with oil. It's a two fixing oil pump, as opposed to the last one had 4 bolts holding it in with the lock washers. So now I've used 2 of the bolts and used spring washers. I've also fitted the new cam followers in the bottom there. So now I'm going to fit the cam. Well, camshaft's fitted, located with the oil pump, and everything's in order there. I've also fitted the bearing caps, the main bearing shells into the block, and I've put the 2 thrust washers. I've held those there with just a little dab of grease. So now I'm going to oil everything up and drop the crank in. Well, crankshaft's in, and I've torqued the bearing caps down to 60 pound-feet, and it's all moving nice and smoothly. I've just checked the end float, and it's 1.5 thou. So I'm going to have to go and have a look at the manual now and see whether or not that's within the limits. But it's all feeling and looking good at the moment. I'll move on now and start to fit the pistons. Right, the first thing to do is to lubricate the piston rings. Plenty of oil. Move them around and then set the ring gaps so that they're positioned around the piston. They don't want to be all in the same line. That's that. Make sure there's plenty of oil around the skirt of the piston. Then back into there. A little bit of oil inside the ring compressor. Then pop the ring compressor on. Tighten it up. Level the ring compressor out, quick tight. Right, now bearing cap to the bottom. Plenty of oil on it. Oil the little end. Take it over, drop it in. The pistons are handed in as much as the flat side, so they're offset. Make sure that the offset goes in the right position. Drop the piston to the top of the block, and then we give it a little tap, and that's the piston in. So now, just wipe my hands, I'm going to tip the block over So now move the crank around. A little bit of oil inside the crank journal, and then bearing cap, position the bearing in, some oil, make sure it goes on the right way, the numbers go to the numbers. Torque it up. £32 feet, just check that. Yep, 32. There we are, that's it torqued. So just turn the engine over. And that's it. All 4 pistons now fitted in. So I've got the cylinder head ready to assemble now. I've got obviously had the machine shop put in new hardened seats to the exhaust valve, so the head will now run comfortably on unleaded fuel. I've got new inlet and exhaust valves, and I've had the valve guides changed, and I'm going to fit I've got some nice new valve springs there that I'm going to fit, so the head will be 100% reconditioned. So I'm going to start to put all that together now. That's the valves fitted, so the head is ready now, and just waiting to go on to the engine. The face faces of all of the rockers are showing wear in various stages. Some are quite deep, some are not. What I've decided to do is I'm going to dress them out using an oil stone. It's a very long laborious job, but it does work, and hopefully I won't go too far through the case hardening. Only time will tell with that. But that's a before, and that's the after. I've now reassembled the rockers onto a new shaft, as the old one had quite a bit of wear on it, and it's all ready now to go back onto the engine. Well, as you can see, a lot of work has gone on. Unfortunately, the videos that I took of that were lost on a memory stick. So you can see now that obviously the camshaft's in and it's being timed, the front cover's on, the sump is on, cylinder head's on, water pump and the fan. And where I'm at now is, I've also put the flywheel on. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to time the engine for the distributor. And to do that, I'm going to turn the engine over and make sure that number one cylinder valves are closed and the piston is at the top of its stroke, and the timing marks on the bottom pulley are all in line. Then I will fit the distributor drive into the engine. So I'll just move all those into the right position and then we'll fit the drive. So the number one cylinder is, both the valves are closed and the piston is at the top of the firing stroke, and on the bottom pulley the timing marks are lined up. So now we have to put the distributor gear into the camshaft. You notice that on the top section the top section is larger than the bottom section, so that tells you how to put it in, and it has to look like that once it's positioned correctly into the gear on the camshaft. Okay, that's it in, so just take the bolt out carefully. There we are. And so now put and there we have it. Okay, that's the timing done. Well, that's as far as I can go with the engine for the time being, so I'm going to put it to one side, and the next job is the gearbox.